I thought I was just going to Lagos with my boss to buy electronics and phone accessories. Simple trip, right? Well, not exactly, because what started as an ordinary business trip from Enugu to Lagos turned into an experience I honestly didn't expect. There was businesses, there was traffic, there was drama, and there was even a passenger who almost turned our vehicle into an emergency bathroom.
Driver, oh. Driver. I know this guy is not listening to me, I'm dying here.
And somewhere in the middle of that, I started to see the business differently. Let me take you back to the beginning. So right now, I'm learning phone accessories and electronics business in Enugu. And I'm not learning this because I want to make money. I'm learning this because one day I want to build my own. I want to own my own shop. I want to own my own products. I want to own my own customers. I want to own my own brand. But before you build something of your own, you need to understand how the game actually works. So when my boss actually called me and said, Daniel, we are heading to Lagos to buy electronics and phone accessory. This wasn't tourism. This wasn't a vacation. This was business.
Did you wait too long?
We packed up, got to the road and started the journey from Enugu to Lagos. And honestly, at the beginning, everything was calm. Everybody was just sitting down, minding their business, watching the road, probably thinking about when they would finally get to Lagos. Until someone started to beg the driver to stop. At first, I didn't understand what was going on. Then I realized my guy needed to use the bathroom badly, like badly. He was really pressed out.
This guy is not listening to me, I'm dying here.
Driver, let's face now.
And when I said badly, I mean badly. He kept begging the driver to stop. And at that point, this wasn't a suggestion anymore. It was an emergency. Everybody had to wait. And everybody started begging the driver on his behalf. And guess what? When the driver finally stopped for the guy to take off what was disturbing him on his stomach, everybody started coming down from the bus to do the same thing. So this actually means that a lot of people might be going through a lot, but they won't speak up until one person stand up to speak up. We entered the bus once again, and after a few minutes, the entire business trip became a survival mission. But eventually, we continued, and after a few hours on the road, we finally arrived at Lagos. So it actually took us about 24 hours for us to move from Enugu to Lagos, because we moved from Enugu at 9 p.m. and we arrived at Lagos around 10 to 11 p.m. So it was even more than 24 hours. Because there was actually delay on the road, due to traffic and other reasons. So we finally got to Lagos, and that was when everything actually changed. The energy was different in Lagos. The movement was different from what I used to know in Enugu. The numbers of businesses, the shops, the products, and people moving goods around. It was crazy. And standing there, I started realizing something. The phone chargers you buy from the shop, the cables, the power banks, the earpod, those accessories you probably won't even think twice about, has a whole journey before it reaches you. Someone brings it from the country, someone distributes it, someone buys it from the wholesale, someone sells it to retail, and finally it ends up in your hands. And today I was getting the chance to see one part of that journey. We came to Lagos to buy, and this was the part I was waiting for. I wasn't just looking at the product, I was watching, carefully watch. What does my boss actually choose? What does he ignore? And most importantly, how do you know what is actually worth putting your money into? Because here is something I'm learning very quickly. Business isn't simple as you think. Buying cheap products, selling high. It's actually deeper than that. You can buy something cheaply and still lose your money. Why? Because if nobody actually wants what you buy, it is not actually a good deal. So you have to understand your customer, what they actually want. You have to understand the product. You have to understand the quality that you're buying. And you also need to have a proper understanding of when to say, no, I'm not buying this. I was watching my boss closely. The question he asked, the products he actually inspected, the way he negotiated, the things he refused to buy. This might actually look like a small thing for you, but for me, This is actually another school on its own because I'm not just learning how to sell, I'm also learning how to think like a businessman. Eventually, the products we are selected, the goods were actually packed. And looking at everything we've bought, I started imagining something. One day, I don't want to just be standing somewhere else, around someone's. I want to be standing beside my. I want to make these decisions. I want to choose my own products. I want to negotiate my own price. I want to build my own customers. I want to look at a shop and say, this is mine. But before that day comes, there is still a lot to learn. So after spending hours surrounded by chargers, cables, power banks, and electronics, here we are buying fruits on the side of the road. And honestly, after that long journey, it hit different. But while we were eating and heading back home, I started thinking about the entire trip, and I realized I didn't just go to Lagos to buy full accessories. I went there to. I learned that product don't just appear in your shop. There is a whole supply chain behind it. I learned that knowing your product is actually important. Knowing your customers is important as well. Knowing your supply is important. And most importantly, knowing what not to buy could just save you from a lot. So right now I'm still learning. Right now I'm still an apprentice. Right now I'm still asking questions. Right now I'm still making mistakes. Right now I'm still paying some attention. And because I have a plan, and this is just the beginning, I'll be showing you guys the progressive journey of how I'm building this gradually and how I'm going to become a business owner very soon. So stay with me on this journey as I grow. Hope to see you in the next one. It has always been Daniel.